So Shakur Stevenson recently made some comments about Abdullah Mason that even though despite people think this is actually Shakur Stevenson coming across as hating, in my opinion, I actually think what Shakur Stevenson is saying is completely valid, where he's saying, of course, Abdullah Mason offensively is a good boxer, but defensively he's got some concerns there. Now, in my opinion, I completely agree, because if you're a 21-year-old going to war with Sam Noakes over 12 rounds, like, that's not going to be good for your career. Now, there'll be boxing fans out there that will argue that, going through a war this early on in your career is good for you because you know how it feels from early, right? And you know you can overcome. But the way I see it is you're just taking not unnecessary, but you're just taking far too much damage than what you should be at this point in your career. Because I think every boxer, no matter how great you are, every boxer can only take a certain amount of damage. And the further along your career goes, obviously the more damage you take, the lower that health bar sort of goes, right? Which is why fighters at the start of their career are hard to knock out, whereas guys who have been boxing for 15, 20 years are very easy to knock out because they've been hit in the head so many times and their punch resistance is gone. I think every boxer has a certain level of punch resistance, and Abdullah Mason may have used quite a bit up against Sam Noakes. Is what I'm saying, and which is what I think Shakur is trying to get that point across as well. Which is why, despite how good Abdullah Mason is offensively, this guy's like the anti-Devin Haney in terms of his offense, right? From the get-go, from the first minute in this fight, this guy's walking, he's meeting his opponent in the middle of the ring, sitting down on shots and letting them fly, right? Devin Haney's not doing that. Again, tactically, who's going to take more or less damage over the space of their career, right? So just look at it like that, in my opinion. Who's going to take more damage, right? But yeah, I mean, Abdullah Mason, of course, no doubt is a world champion boxer. He's literally a world champion, the youngest world champion in the sport. Is he the guy at 135? No. Will he ever become the guy at 135? Honestly, it just depends how the division shapes out. Because if certain guys leave the division, then Abdullah Mason's good enough to be there. But, say, for example, and Andy Cruz moves up to 140 chasing a Keyshawn fight, and Shakur Stevenson stays at 140 after he fights Teofimo, then potentially there's a route for Abdullah Mason to grow into becoming the best lightweight in the world. Do you know what I mean? Because he's still developing. He's only 21. He's still developing. And even him, he might even get bigger and get older and move up to 140. Then he joins a killer's row of crazy guys at 140, which will all give him amazing fights. Big guys that can bang. Matias, Antoine Russell. Do you know what I mean? Serious guys there. Serious guys at those divisions. So yeah, there's options for Abdullah Mason, but yeah, his Shakur Stevenson's concerns over Abdullah Mason, in my opinion, are very valid, because again, like I'm saying, as a boxer, you can only take a certain amount of damage, in my opinion, and you don't want to fast track that. If you want to have a long and successful career, you want to make a habit out of taking as little damage as possible throughout your fights, obviously, right? So let me know what you thought of Shakur Stevenson's comments. Do you think they were valid? Do you think he was just hating on Abdullah Mason? And how do you think fights like the Sam Noakes fight is going to affect Abdullah Mason's career long term? Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest in the bag, and I'm out. Peace.